Now, live from Santa Barbara's waterfront, the Fiesta Parade, the 99th annual El Desfile Histórico. Live, here's CJ Ward and Beth Farnsworth.
Good afternoon. Welcome to El Desfile Histórico in celebration of the 99th anniversary of the first Fiesta in Santa Barbara. We are coming to you live along the historic Cabrillo waterfront. I'm Beth Farnsworth, joined by CJ Ward and this year's El Presidente, David Bolton.
Welcome. It's so great to have you join us this year.
Thank you so much, and it's always a pleasure to be here. This is truly a special day in Santa Barbara, Fiesta Parade afternoon.
It's a beautiful day. We could not ask for better weather for this event today.
The skies are blue. There's celebration in the air. It's all come together nicely for Fiesta 2023.
And this is about history. So this parade is all about history, and we experienced history just a few moments ago.
Yes, we did.
And what a moment it was.
It was.
We have to look back to 1542, the arrival of Juan Rodriguez Cabrillo in his big ship that came into these waters. And another replica of that, the San Salvador, came through today. A collaboration between Old Spanish Days Fiesta and the Maritime Museums of Santa Barbara and San Diego brought that ship into our waters. It was a massive ship. The entire community came out to watch it, and it was a great moment to see a ship that was here in 1542 come back through again. And the Chumash play a big role. The Chumash were here first, and when Rodriguez Cabrillo came in, there was also the greeting of the Chumash, where they were welcoming people, and they greeted the Spanish as they came in on that ship, and then the system of the missions came 200 years later. So there has always been the interaction between both peoples. There were hard moments at times. Together, though, all the nations have come together, including later Mexico and the United States, to truly make Santa Barbara and our Old Spanish Days Fiestas something that recognizes and honors the four nations that have governed over Santa Barbara. So it's a special moment, it's a historic moment, and this parade is truly a historic parade.
And really, your fingerprint has been on so many different activities throughout this year's Fiesta. Historic, inclusivity, and just the drama along the waterfront this morning as people lined Cabrillo Boulevard watching that ship come in was absolutely beautiful. And the significance of this boulevard for past Fiestas as well.
One of the things this year, I really wanted to try to bring history into Fiesta as much as possible, and also inclusion. And when you look at the parade day, it is truly a historic day in Santa Barbara. And by having a reenactment, a historic reenactment, we allow everyone to have a voice. There are so many stories in our history here in Santa Barbara, going back to that arrival of Cabrillo in 1542 all the way to today. So having historic reenactments allow everybody to have a voice. And this parade, since the very first year, is a historic parade. That's why the name El Desfile Histórico was given to it early on. So since the first parade in 1924, the Fiesta Friday Parade is truly El Desfile Histórico.
Since 1924, the Fiesta Parade has been one of the year's highlights. It originally traveled down State Street and later began on Cabrillo Boulevard and then making its way up State Street. Traditions, generations, a Fiesta celebration, El Desfile Histórico, has meant so much to so many for decades. History, equestrian, music and dance.
When it started off, it was a historic parade. We might have one float that would show, or perhaps an element that would show our original people here, would have the Chumash, the arrival of the Europeans. There might be one with Cabrillo. The parade has always been the centerpiece of Fiesta. So the years that we had, for instance, the earthquake of 1925, and people say, oh, we didn't have a Fiesta that year. We didn't have a Fiesta parade because where the earthquake did the most damage was down on State Street, and there was no way you could get a parade through that. But we still had other elements of Fiesta. But that's why the Fiesta parade, really Santa Barbara looks at that as sort of the keynote of the Fiesta experience.
Yeah, stand by. Incredible to see these historic images.
It's, I think, a tribute to Santa Barbara. Fiesta does matter to this community, and Fiesta is about bringing everyone together, family, friends, colleagues, and this historic parade really represents everyone. And inclusion is important, history is important, and I think everyone in Santa Barbara will say Fiesta is also important.
I don't want to put you on the spot, but can you give an estimate? How many people do you think come to town for Fiesta, to Santa Barbara?
We've heard numbers, hundreds of thousands come through. Some come for day visits, come here as well to stay overnight for the weekend. Fiesta started to bring people to Santa Barbara in the summer because back in the early days, in the early 1900s, everybody came here in the winter. And it was something that was done to bring tourists and visitors here in the summer to promote our local businesses and our local nonprofits.
You know, again, going back to the discussion about history, one thing that's interesting this year is we created history the other night. We saw it at Pequeña.
We did.
We sure did. It was a beautiful evening, and Jack Harwood, our very first male Spirit of Fiesta in 2023, he graced those historic steps at the Mission, and it was truly a historic moment. And 2 nights ago at Fiesta Pequeña, it was all about dance, song, and dance.
Dance, the backbone of Fiesta since the first year in 1924. Colorful, exciting. For decades, hundreds and hundreds of local youth have participated in dance year-round, many preparing for those big Fiesta moments like Pequeña. Basically, there are 3 main dance styles throughout old Spanish days Fiesta. Early California, taking us back to the Rancho days of the 1800s. A slower style, yet elegant and graceful. Folklorico, regional folk dances from throughout Mexico and other parts of Latin America. Different by region in terms of costumes and style, lively and upbeat. And flamenco, now the national dance of Spain. Flamenco has its roots 500 years ago. It was brought to Spain by Los Gitanos, gypsies originally from India. Flamenco developed over time. The Arabs later introduced musical instruments, and the Jewish community of Spain added the vocals. Their songs, reliving their battles, their hard times during La Reconquista, the Reconquest, and the Inquisition, spearheaded by Queen Isabel and King Ferdinand as they brought Christianity back to Spain. Today, flamenco, folklorico, and other dance styles add excitement to Fiesta. We enjoy Fiesta. We enjoy dance. Let's Fiesta.
You know, what was really nice about that performance was seeing the standing ovation he got and how long it was. It was a beautiful moment.
Throughout the lawn, across in the Rose Garden, you could feel the electricity, the high emotion throughout the massive crowd.
Jack definitely brought a lot of joy to so many people. It was an evening of celebration, and our junior Spirit of Fiesta, Olivia Nelson, also performed.
Yes,
and she also delighted the crowds. I went to the Mission earlier in the day that Wednesday, and it was amazing to see how many families had put out their blankets in anticipation of that great Fiesta Pequeña show. And the Franciscan friars, the fathers, really opened their arms on that opening night. And Fiesta Pequeña is truly the official opening of the Fiesta every year. And it's magical. It's one of 21 missions in California. And when the lights are shining on that facade, and our dance studios and our Spirit of Fiesta and our Junior Spirit, and all the singers come out and perform, it's a magical evening.
It absolutely is. And just the different viewpoints, if you will. We had that gorgeous drone shot. We had the cameras that were inside the Mission as the doors opened for Jack. The bell tower as well. I mean, they were incredible. Speaking of drone shot,
there we go. Beautiful
the drone
view.
is active right now along Cabrillo Boulevard. Look at the crowds amassing, David and CJ.
And you really see this beautiful Cabrillo Boulevard on Parade Day. There's nothing quite like it. We have people lining on both sides of the street. Many came early. They put their blankets down in their chairs as early as 6 a.m. in anticipation of this historic parade. And I think every year, this Fiesta Parade really brings families together, extended families that may not see each other that regularly.
Yes.
Some may live in North County, others in Ventura County. But I hear the stories all the time of those that grew up in town, how they get together on a particular corner and their cousins and uncles and family and grandparents and grandkids all come together and meet. It really makes this Fiesta Parade so memorable every year for this community.
And we get people all the time who stop us and say, and I love this as well, people who came to town not expecting Fiesta, but they ran into Fiesta and they love it. And they say, I'm going to come back next year. I had so much fun this year.
And just talking about the unity among community, you know, and it is so massive. And you really do feel it even more so post-pandemic life.
Can you imagine if you didn't know Santa Barbara was putting on a Fiesta and you came to town?
Yeah, that's it.
For 2 days, and all of a sudden you walked out of your hotel room and you saw these bunting banners and flags everywhere and everybody
Music
out
and,
celebrating and having a great time. And then you see the events. Last night we were at Noches de Ronda at the courthouse. Spectacular. The opening night at the Fiesta Pequeña at the Mission. And then our two mercados. We have a carnival right on the beach with a massive Ferris wheel. Mercado de la Playa is at City College in the parking lot, and our historic downtown Mercado, Mercado de la Guerra, is there in full force as well. Between those two mercados, you can experience everything. A carnival at the beach, we have multiple food vendors, merchandise vendors, and between the two mercados, 50 free concerts during the 5 evenings of Fiesta 2023.
And you're not going to miss one of them, are you?
I'm going to be in as many as I can because by picking the theme this year, Let's Fiesta, it really means more than the literal translation of Fiesta to party. It really means all that we do in Santa Barbara during Fiesta. And I really hope that even after Fiesta, the good feelings and the vibe that Fiesta 2023 has created continue. People take it home. People take it to their workplace because Fiesta is special. And today, this historic parade is truly a special moment for all of us.
And you touched on another thing that people just love about Santa Barbara and Fiesta, and that's the food. By the end of Fiesta, people are talking about how stuffed they are, how they've been eating for days, and they've loved everything. It's some of the best authentic Mexican food you can get.
Indeed.
It's just amazing food.
From taquitos to tortas, from tacos to pupusas at the Mercado de la Guerra. There's something for everyone, and so many nonprofits benefit from the food that is provided during Fiesta. Many restaurants get together, they partner up, and they team up with local nonprofits. And it's part of the mission of Old Spanish Days to not only bring tourists and locals to our local businesses, but also to give a platform for local nonprofits to raise their necessary operating revenue. And if you can do that and also enjoy great food, that's definitely a win-win.
And don't forget,
Cooking with love.
Don't forget, and cooking with love. Don't forget another hidden gem, Our Lady of Guadalupe, and the pozole. I have to point out there is delicious.
And pozole is such a historic meal. It started as a hominy stew. The natives of the Mesoamerica area were preparing that hominy dish as a religious dish long before the arrival of the Spanish. It was the Spaniards that brought and introduced pork to the Americas. That came together, and when you look and talk about Mexican food, it's truly, I think, one of the leading fusion foods from around the world, because Spain, they were able to bring spices that were brought to Spain by the Moors and the Sephardic Jews that had come in from the Middle East that received the spices from the Far East, India and those areas. That transformed Spanish cuisine. And then when Spain came across to the Americas, they brought so much that helped to transform the cooking of Mexico into this dynamic fusion food that we call cuisine of Mexico today.
Oh, my next pozole is going to taste even better after knowing all of that.
Yes, it will. And going back to the historic mementos, I want to bring that up. This year's poster and the horseshoe pin. Talk about that real quickly.
So this beach area is one of our iconic scenes. We know that the Mission is iconic. We know the courthouse is iconic. We know our downtown corridor is iconic. But our beach and this beach front is very iconic as well. When we look at the cruise ships and everyone that comes to town, their first image is Cabrillo Boulevard, the beach, the palm trees, the Riviera Mountains behind. So I wanted to capture that, but I also wanted to include dance. And we put two vibrant individuals dancing, enjoying it, but with also having the scenic backdrop that we're all enjoying today as part of this El Desfile Histórico.
It's a perfect location. We love it down here. Nice ocean breeze.
And it sounds like the parade is getting underway. David, I know you said there are more than 70 entries or so, more than 500 horses. It sounds like our first entry, Los Ninos De Las Flores, walking down Cabrillo Boulevard right now.
Los Ninos are the ambassadors, our young ambassadors of Old Spanish Days Fiesta. They have spent this entire week going out to the community. Tuesday was a special day of community service. They visited retirement homes. They visited our police station. They visited the airport, our train station. And these young girls and boys really are everything that Fiesta is. It's about youth. It's about celebrating. It's about seeing smiles. And our Los Ninos de las Flores truly bring that to Fiesta every year.
And you hear them all through downtown yelling in unison, Viva la Fiesta! And it's a great sound. This year there were 144 flower girls, and they're aged between 6 through 17.
And the flower girls are their name before. We changed them to Los Ninos because boys ended up entering the program. So it's all, as we come into this 2023 year and beyond, inclusion. So the flower girls for decades, today, Los Ninos de las Flores.
Okay.
And they really walk the miles, don't they, throughout the 5 days of Fiesta. And again, as you said, they bring so much joy and smiles to so many different institutions throughout town.
And following the flower girls in the middle of Cabrillo Boulevard, our 2023 Spirit of Fiesta, Jack Harwood. He has his white sombrero from Spain. He's gracing Cabrillo Boulevard, just like we saw him at the Mission on Wednesday night, gracing the stage at Fiesta Pequeña.
And he is just so handsome, so confident, so debonair. And he's a Santa Barbara City College student studying kinesiology.
Jack grew up in this town, went to Dos Pueblos High School. He is at Santa Barbara City College right now. He's represented this community so well, and in such a dynamic way. As an individual, he has given 1,500 hours of free community service. He's quite a student, he's quite an individual, and he is something special as our Spirit of Fiesta 2023.
Yeah, very, very exciting to have Jack here right behind us right now.
And
so exciting.
Behind Jack, Santa Barbara Mariachi Festival, our next parade entry, a nonprofit organization dedicated to promoting and preserving the tradition of mariachi music.
And mariachi music is so special. We started this show off with mariachis, and again we have another mariachi float coming through. The Mariachi Festival is every year the Saturday evening of Old Spanish Days Fiesta. It's at the County Bowl. This entire community comes out for mariachi. We're going to be seeing mariachi later today through restaurants on State Street. We're going to see them at all of our Fiesta events, and there's nothing like mariachi. Why don't we listen to them for just a few seconds?
And coming up next, Long Beach Mounted Police Posse, welcoming them to our El Desfile Historical this year.
One of the longtime participants. They're here year after year.
And it's the first time also, CJ and Beth, that we see equestrian participants. They're riding their horses, they're coming through with the colors. It's really a parade of horses. There are going to be so many horses today. Some estimates have them close to 500. They're filling State Street with tradition and history and equestrian entrance, and the police, the mounted police from Long Beach, every year a pleasure to have them in this Fiesta parade.
And they were founded in 1935, and they ride golden palominos. Beautiful horses.
Beautiful horses, followed by the mayor and junior spirit carriage.
And this is special. Last year, our beloved mayor, the Honorable Randy Rouse, was not able to participate in Fiesta because of the pandemic. He's out in full force this year. He has been front and center. He's been greeting everybody at all of our major events, and he's riding in the carriage with our 2023 Junior Spirit of Fiesta, Olivia Nelson. Like Jack, our spirit, Olivia has been dancing and putting smiles on faces of everyone. And an interesting family story. She is the great niece of Ozzie and Harriet from the TV series that so many of us, dating all of us in our 60s, grew up with.
From the 50s.
From the 50s and into the 60s. In fact, Olivia's father, Chris Nelson, his second cousins were Ricky and David Nelson. So he told me that Olivia truly has entertainment in her blood.
She really does, and she has such grace, and I love it, at 10 years old. Followed now by St. Barbara, Riviera del Mar, the float here. This is since 1926 a participant. Riviera del Mar Parlor 126, Native Daughters of the Golden West. This year, selected Lisa Osborne.
St. Barbara is an image we see every year during Fiesta, and we have seen a St. Barbara in this parade since the very, very early years. Lisa Osborne has represented our patron saint of the city, of our county, and of the channel. This channel is called the Channel Santa Barbara, and it was named after Cabrillo. Juan Rodriguez Cabrillo came through in 1542. It made his reenactment voyage today of the replica San Salvador so special, and Lisa is an outstanding community person.
All right, next we have the Grand Marshal.
Our Grand Marshal this year is an individual that has really represented this community. Ernestine De Soto is an elder of the Barbareño Chumash. Her mother was the last official speaker of the Chumash language. Ernestine and other members of her family are continuing to keep the Chumash language relevant and there for future generations. We heard her yesterday at the mission, La Misa del Presidente. She addressed everyone in Chumash. It was an honor for me as El Presidente to select Ernestine De Soto as this year's Parade Grand Marshal. She's truly an individual that represents so much. She is a parishioner at the mission. She is keeping alive the Chumash traditions and culture. Ernestine De Soto, we are honored to have you as our Parade Grand Marshal in 2023.
And it was beautiful to hear the Chumash language. It's so beautiful.
She also blessed us at the La Pequeña, excuse me, that first kickoff
And
night.
speaking of the mission for Pequeña and the Misa yesterday, we're now looking at a replica of our mission, Old Mission Santa Barbara. It was the 10th mission founded out of the chain of 21 Spanish Catholic missions. And every year, this replica, this miniature replica of our old mission really allows everyone to see probably the most historic building in this town. The Presidio was founded first and then the mission, and the mission stands as a center of community today.
No matter what the denomination, I love that. Union Bank is also participating in this year's El Desfile Histórico.
U.S. Bank and Union Bank, we, for years, called it Union Bank, and we're all starting to call it U.S. Bank. They've been a big supporter, Union Bank, and even U.S. Bank before they merged, and now U.S. Bank has stepped up in a big way, and we're looking at representatives of the bank, and our sponsors like Union Bank really allow us to put on all of these free public events for the community. So we say thank you to all of our sponsors.
And a huge thank you, David and CJ, to the past Presidentes following up next.
We'll let you handle this part, David.
Our past Presidentes are special. Every year, Old Spanish Days selects a Presidente. I'm honored this year to be El Presidente 2023, and I respect so much our past Presidentes. Big shoes to fill. During their year, they represented our organization, Old Spanish Days. They represented Fiesta. They represented this community. And our past Presidentes are so special. Rudy Castillo is our longest serving past Presidente. He was El Presidente in 1976. That was the year of the bicentennial, but it was also the first time that the Presidente designed the Fiesta poster. So we see all of our past presidentes, along with Mr. Castillo, really continuing to represent this community.
Mike Danley of 97 also part of this, and followed up by the past Presidente riders.
And many of our past presidentes choose to ride in the carriage and others on horseback. And it really shows all of our past presidentes, and it really shows their spirit and their passion for everything that is Fiesta and everything that is Old Spanish Days.
All right, next we have the Santa Barbara City Council.
And the City Council really plays a big role in Fiesta. All of the council members that are part of the council, along with the mayor, all of our council members really show their interest in keeping alive Old Spanish Days Fiesta. They meet, as we know, regularly on Tuesday at the Santa Barbara City Council chambers. And the City Council chambers are really special for us, because that is where the idea of incorporating Old Spanish Days really began.
And here's something really special. We're talking about Clydesdales as part of this year's El Desfile Histórico. Andy Bush Carriage.
Andy Bush is a special individual. I reached out to him to see if he could help with Clydesdales this year. He said absolutely. His Folded Hills winery on their property has Clydesdales. He brought them into the parade this year. It's really special when we get ready for the entrance of the Clydesdales to come to TV Corner. It's really special.
Our camera is now catching the American.
I'm still looking at the Clydesdales. They're so big and so beautiful.
American Riviera Bank
is next up, another one of our bank sponsors. And American Riviera Bank includes past Presidente Joanne Fenari. And we can't say enough about our sponsors. Every year, some of the largest sponsors for Old Spanish Days Fiesta are our banks. They allow us to put on all of these free public events, and it's truly special to have so much support from so many sponsors and so many of our banks during this special Old Spanish Days Fiesta. Thank you, American Riviera Bank.
And another participant year in, year out, Kings County Sheriff's Posse Equestrian.
And they were formed in 1937. This is their 86th year riding in parades throughout the state. And it is beautiful how many people come from throughout California for this event, David, CJ.
They make a point of coming out to this parade specifically.
They come from far and near to participate in our parade, and seeing them with the colors of the United States, it's one of those four nations we were talking about. The Chumash, Spain, Mexico, and here the U.S. is represented so well as they carry the colors. They're on horseback. They combine so much of what we're looking at this year in Fiesta 2023. Equestrians, horses, riders, and the colors of one of our four nations that have governed over Santa Barbara.
And interestingly, each member is responsible for their own Palomino horse, black silver mounted saddle, and the time to represent the County of Kings in statewide parades. We have 3 members taking part today, and again, so grateful that they are part of this event.
And we welcome them back. Welcome, Viva la Fiesta. Yeah, the hard part is not yelling Viva la Fiesta too loud with a microphone in front of your face. I'm afraid I'm going to scare everybody.
Next, we have the OShea Family Foundation. Rick OShea recently came to town a few years ago and instantly made an impact supporting so many of our local nonprofits. He's riding in the carriage today with our 2020 St. Barbara, Teresa Kuski. And last night at Noches de Ronda, we brought up on the stage our 2020 Spirit of Fiesta, Elena Velasco, and our 2020 El Presidente, Eric Davis. And this is another moment for us to recognize a key participant in 2020, a year that we selected everybody to make that Fiesta family, but a year that because of what we were going through, we could not have a Fiesta. So to see Teresa Kuski as our 2020 St. Barbara in the carriage, along with Rick OShea of the OShea Family Foundation, it's truly a special moment, a memorable moment, and we really thank both of them.
We also want to extend thanks and a welcome to the Familia Charra. They participated in this great parade since 2010.
And the Charra family is a group of friends who get together to participate in many local parades. They come with the purpose of sharing a little of their Mexican traditions, and they share the music of Mexico. They are dressed in traditional charro suits.
And the charros are such a special component of this El Desfile Histórico. Every year we have multiple entrants, and I think it would be great for us to listen with sound up full, the charros, Familia Charra. Charros are truly special. They have played such a big role in the history of Mexico. The charros represent Mexico's independence. They represent the people of Mexico. And we not only saw Familia Charra, but we also have Rancho Las Palmas. So we're truly bringing together so many charro groups to share with us the sounds of Mexico, the music of Mexico, and the people of Mexico.
This is definitely going to be a major highlight in the legendary El Desfile historical events in Santa Barbara. You can just feel the energy. You can see the Cabrillo Boulevard lined with people. We are going to take a quick break. We'll be right back. Stay with us.
Old Spanish Days Fiesta would like to thank its 2023 broadcast sponsors: Tour Spain, Tour España, Giffen Rentals, Giordano's, celebrating 108 years, Marburg Industries, Whittier Trust Company, and Flamenco Santa Barbara.
And we are coming to you live from the historic Cabrillo Boulevard along Santa Barbara's waterfront for the 2023 El Desfile historical event. An absolutely beautiful day for today's historic parade, one of the largest, if not the largest, equestrian parade in the country.
It is by far one of the largest in this entire country. And it's been one of the longest running parades as well. I don't think people realize how special Fiesta is. 99 years. Not many cities can say that they have a festival that's been around so long. We've seen Charro Group. We now see the Cowgirls Cha-Cha coming through as well. The music, the horses, and the people. Smiles on everyone's face as we look around. We see the music behind us and hear the sounds. It's really something special, this El Desfile Histórico.
And more than 500 horses involved with today's event as well. And we could not ask for nicer weather. It is beautiful. We've got a gorgeous sea breeze.
Ocean breeze coming in. It's perfect. I mean, you can tell it's a horse parade. And then, boom, you get hit with the ocean breeze. I love it.
In the best of ways, CJ.
And the Cowgirls Cha-Cha bringing up the rear of our Charros contingent. That contingent featured Familia Charra, Rancho Las Palmas, the Cowgirls Cha-Cha. There's just so much. And the Charros, when you look at this whole group of them together and you see how the crowd is reacting to them, enjoying the music, enjoying the horsemanship, it's truly special. And as the Charros pass us, we now welcome one of our largest sponsors as well, and that is Montecito Bank and Trust. And they are in the historic Tecolote carriage. Our carriages, they came down the hills, they went up the hills to the San Ynez Valley, and they play such a big role in our Fiesta parade.
Of course, the bank's chairman and CEO, Janet Garufas, the bank's president and COO, George Lease, along with other bank associates. And we are so grateful to them and the entire banking system under Montecito Bank and Trust for all that they do.
They do so much for the community.
They do so much. It's incredible. Followed up by Tierra de Oro, Native Daughters of the Golden West.
And this is our second Native Daughters float that we had. We started with St. Barbara. And what's interesting, we saw the Los Ninos at the start of the parade. This parlor that we're looking at right now, Tierra de Oro parlor number 304, they actually are the ones that started the Flower Girl program.
Ah,
and the program got so big, they reached out to Old Spanish Days and said, would you like to have that program? So this is not only a historic parlor within the state Native Daughters of the Golden West organization, but it also represents the roots and the beginning of our Flower Girls that leads to today's Los Ninos De Las Flores.
Beautiful. Los Amigos Charros, another group of charros participating in this year's El Desfile Historical. This group is formed by the locals of Santa Barbara. They love to ride. They just really enjoy a good time.
And they keep traditional charro lifestyle riding and customs from Mexico. And this year's leaders are Alexis Garcia and David Soberano.
When you look at history, it's not just history of Santa Barbara that we celebrate during Fiesta. It's also the history of Mexico. It's the Chumash story, the history of the Chumash, the different bands that stretch from Malibu to San Luis Obispo. But it's also the history of Mexico, the history of Spain. And the Charros, they really do represent and play a big role when we look at the independence of Mexico in 1821. It was a big moment in Mexico. But in Mexico, they celebrated in 1821, but because Santa Barbara was so removed from the new capital of Mexico City, it didn't happen here in Santa Barbara until 1822. So Mexico independence and Santa Barbara becoming a city under the government of Mexico did not occur officially until 1822. It took that long for the word and for the new government to actually make its way to this historic town of Santa Barbara. So we welcome the Charros that represent Mexico independence, the people of Mexico, and truly a big part of the culture of Mexico.
It is so fascinating listening to you because you are so knowledgeable when it comes to the history of Mexico and California, throughout California.
I love history. Fiesta is all about history. And as we move into the future and as we look to the future, we have to look at our history. We have to learn from our history. We have to give everyone that was involved in our history a voice so that the peoples today can learn from our history and can look to the future in a more positive way and really be the best people, the best society, and the best community that we can be as we look to the future.
So well said. Los Californios Equestrian Western Spanish rider.
And they've been participating in the Fiesta parade continuously since the 1970s and is led by local Steve Gullis and Jeff Stone for many years.
And as we hear the music of the charros behind us, and as the song ended and the applause comes out from the people, it's really a great moment for us to turn our attention to California history. And Los Californios truly are California history. California has such a rich history. It was originally named Alta California when the Spanish came and set up their first presidio and mission in San Diego. It remained Alta California for many years. It was named Alta California to distinguish it from Baja California. So California really stretched from the tip of Baja California in the south, today's Los Cabos, all the way up to the last Spanish outpost, the mission at Sonoma, Mission San Francisco de Solano, which was founded by the Spaniards, but was actually finished in 1823 after Alta California had become a state under the new Republic of Mexico. So as we look at the entry, Los Californios, it really makes you appreciate and want to know more about our California history. California truly, as one of the 50 states, has a history like none other. We've had 4 nations that have governed here. I don't think there's any other place that can say that it has had so much representation and that it has been so inclusive. And like California, I like to believe that Santa Barbara also is very inclusive.
I just have to say that the reaction from people that we've heard throughout the community have just been so appreciative of all the different layers that you've been able to implement in this year's tradition.
Fiesta is about everyone. Fiesta is about people. Fiesta is about cultures. And Fiesta is about celebrations. And as we look at our different cultures, everybody has their special way of celebrating. So when you can put on a fiesta and allow everybody to celebrate in their own way, it really makes every fiesta memorable, historic, and full of culture.
Viva la fiesta!
Viva la fiesta!
Viva la fiesta! Viva la fiesta! Past Presidente Chip Wilbrandt amongst those Los Californios.
The great group behind us.
All right, next we have Adam's Angels and Care for Paws Float. Adam's Angels is an outreach organization founded by realtors Adam McCagg and Melissa Borders. They are a compassionate group of volunteers serving the needs of the community. Among their board members are Katy Perry's parents, Keith and Mary Hudson.
And CJ and Beth, this local nonprofits float really represents something that's in the heart of Old Spanish Days, and that's supporting local nonprofits.
You're getting some PR over here, David.
Thank you, Steve Gullis. Adam's Angels really represent so much. They give and provide food for our homeless. They bring together meals for people that otherwise would not have it. We really should say thank you to Adam's Angels. Adam McCaig, who's running it and who has started it, is really something special for this community.
And bags of necessities for people. They even gave away a car recently to a woman who's back on her feet. Next, we want to welcome Hart, Williams, Caps, Limon, Carriage, Senator Monique Limon, Assemblymember Greg Hart, Supervisor Dos Williams, Supervisor Laura Caps. Viva la fiesta!
And all of our government officials, all of our city, county, and state representatives, they do so much. And they participate every year in this parade. They want to be a part of it. They know how special it is for this community. And when we can see everyone coming together, our government officials, both local, at the county level, and also those that serve in Sacramento, and to be a part of this community event, it's another one of those very special fiesta moments.
So we have a lot of law enforcement that has participated for many, many years. And next we have the Merced County Sheriff Posse. They were formed back in 1948. They're an all sterling silver mounted group, and they're celebrating their 75th year this year. They serve as goodwill ambassadors representing Merced County in the state of California, and they travel over 2,000 miles every year representing Merced County.
And they participated in rose parades in Pasadena, presidential inaugural parades, and so much more.
And our equestrian entrants, all of them, they put in a lot of effort to get here. It shows their passion to want to participate in a parade like the Fiesta Parade. And this route along Cabrillo Boulevard is not easy. They begin at Cabrillo and Castillo. They make their way all the way along our Cabrillo Boulevard. They end at Milpas, but then there's the whole getting dropped off and getting picked up moment. Many of them come into town the night before to prepare for this Fiesta Parade. And it's really something that logistically, hats off to every one of our equestrian entrants, as well as this entire parade committee, led by our parade chair at Old Spanish Days, Gary McDonald, and our division chief of pageantry, Tony Miller, and our first vice president, our primer vicepresidente, Brian Schwabecker, and their entire committee.
It's really awesome to see the logistics before, during, and after, for sure. Next, we want to welcome the Navy League Carriage. 14 walkers involved with this.
Yeah, they're visiting from their home port in San Diego. The USS Santa Barbara's Executive Office, CDR, Paul Richardson, and crew members are proud to be a part of this year's Fiesta Parade. We welcome them here today.
Anything that has to do with maritime truly has a connection to Fiesta.
Absolutely.
Our history is tied to the sea, beginning with the Shumash and their historic tamols, to our ships that have been part of our Navy League and the Coast Guard. And when you look out at this beautiful sea that we have here, you really understand the connection that our maritime history has to our present day Fiesta Parade.
We want to welcome now Community West Bank.
Our bank sponsors, every one of them, thank you. Our sponsors are committed to this community. Our sponsors are committed to Old Spanish Days. And our sponsors are committed to Fiesta, making sure that all of these free public events, like this historic parade, can happen so that the entire community can come out, watch, and be a part of Fiesta every year. So thank you, Community West Bank. And thank you to all of our Old Spanish Days sponsors.
Also, a quick mention, we just had Lieutenant James Morrison, commanding officer of the U.S. Coast Guard, cutter Blackfin.
Yes, as those Coast Guard members came through, they were right after
the Maritime
Navy League.
Yeah, the Maritime.
And it was the
thing.
maritime history that we talked about that's so important. And now we go back to Equestrian, and there's nothing better than to hear charros. And for that, we have Rancho Arroyo.
A group of friends spending a lot of time training their horses. The charros, Mexican cowboys, are a Mexican tradition, as David has talked about throughout this parade, has lasted for hundreds of years.
And Rancho Arroyo has been in the many parades throughout Southern California.
And we've talked about that, CJ, that they have come from all over the state to be part of these huge events. And it really is, again, this is the second year we've had the parade along Cabrillo Boulevard again, David, and I think it's been a beautiful venue.
It's a beautiful venue, and these sounds are outstanding. Let's, one more time, listen to charros with music up full.
Rancho Arroyo and El Desfile Histórico. We were going to take another quick break, and we'll be right back to bring you back to Cabrillo Boulevard.
Mic check. Mic check. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3.
Old Spanish Days Fiesta would like to thank its 2023 broadcast sponsors: Montecito Bank and Trust, Lobero Theater, U.S. Bank, American Riviera Bank, Community West Bank, LinkedIn, and Opera Santa Barbara.
And welcome back now to our live coverage of El Desfile Histórico.
And our next entrant, Cuadras Unidad de Valle de Lompoc. Beautiful pink outfits on their horses as they make their way through our television corner here in front of Janine's at the corner of State and Cabrillo Boulevard.
Just the costumes, the saddlery, all of the accompaniments, if you will.
Horses and the carriages.
It's just incredible.
Yeah.
All the
Beautiful color.
And the preparations they go through.
And those women that led on with their pink costumes are followed by the entire Charros contingent that really makes its way in a graceful way along this historic Cabrillo Boulevard. It's really fascinating. The crowd loves it. They're enjoying the music, they're enjoying the horses, and as I look around, there are so many smiles on the faces of so many.
So let's listen in again. This is what makes the parade, is this music.
Yes.
Beth and CJ, Cuadras Unidad de Valle de Lompoc, the sounds, the horses, and it's so great to see all of the cities of Santa Barbara County in the area, Ventura County, the posses from north and south really coming together, and so many are setting their sights on the Fiesta Stock Horse Show this weekend. It's at Earl Warren Showgrounds. They have a carriage in this parade, really helping to promote one of our historic events. And what a lot of people don't realize is the Fiesta Stock Horse Show originated in Pershing Park. It was the old Edison rail car terminal. And when that ended, Old Spanish Days bought the property and they turned it into the grounds for the Fiesta Stock Horse Show until Earl Warren was launched in the late 1950s.
The honorary Vaquero carriage, Ted Robinson, is the winningest rider in the history of the reined cow horse. He's earned 7 National Reined Cow Horse Association Open Snaffle Bit Futurity Championship and 2 World Greatest Horseman titles.
Now, Robinson has broken every record in the NRCHA, along with Futurity wins. Ted has won numerous Derby, Hackamore, bridle, reining, and cutting championships.
Spectacular. It really is. And next up, we have a carriage with Jacqueline Aboud. She lives in the San Ynez Valley. She's been a big supporter of so many local nonprofits. She's in the carriage in her colorful outfits. And when people in this community really stand up and support our local nonprofits, so many people in our community benefit. And Jacqueline has done that like so many others. And it really makes this community of Santa Barbara and the greater Santa Barbara area so special. We have so many nonprofits and we have so many individuals that step up and really support them so that our nonprofits can do what they do so well for our community.
I think per capita we have more nonprofits than any other state.
I think it's over 2,000 or 3,000, but it's not only those that do the service, but it's about the greater community that steps up with the needed funds so that those nonprofits can continue to operate and can continue to provide the services for our beloved community.
And talk about colorful history. Next we have the De La Guerra wedding party carriage.
And this is very, very historic.
Yes.
This year at La Primavera, there's that iconic painting at the courthouse, which is the 3-day wedding of Don De La Guerra's daughter to Alfred Robinson. And that painting, we brought it to life during La Primavera, and every year the De La Guerra wedding party brings that historic moment, the wedding of De La Guerra's daughter that became a 3-day celebration. And to see once again a historic component in this parade, it really makes you feel special to be in Santa Barbara, and it makes you special to think about our history. The carriage, the riders that come afterwards, the De La Guerra wedding party is definitely one of those iconic moments in our history, and it's something that we all can look back at to the early days of Santa Barbara with pride and with celebration, because the De La Guerra wedding party was truly a moment of celebration.
The standing on top of the horse, I love it. You see all different
Gorgeous
types
gowns.
of stuff. Beautiful gowns. Auction at Presidentes is next.
And this year at the El Presidente party, we had the honor to have one of the carriages put up, and again, it raised funds to help us put on this parade. I don't think everyone understands how much is involved in this parade, but it's truly a moment for us to do that. And now we have an outstanding historic parade entry. This is the Shumash. They have a tomol. Back in the early days, they took these tomols all the way across our channel to the Channel Islands. The Shumash were one of 4 seafaring native communities between Alaska and Chile. They recreated the tomol crossing in 1976, and there are tomols throughout Santa Barbara today, and members of the Shumash are really bringing their story and their history to this El Desfile Histórico, and it is truly a special moment to honor and welcome the Shumash and so many others to this historic parade 2023.
Santa Barbara Unified School District is next. We really have everybody participating.
And the school districts, they have so much impact on our community. They teach our young children. They educate them. They make them into teens and then later into adults. After going through our Santa Barbara School District schools, they become active members and important members of our Santa Barbara community. Our hats off to all of the teachers, administrators, and everybody else that works within the Santa Barbara School District, making our schools successful and making all of our students successful members of this community.
And it's true, they navigated so many challenges, especially during the pandemic, and we are just so incredibly grateful to have
Absolutely,
the schools
yes.
that
And
we have here.
those schools and our teachers did so much.
Yes,
with
they
not
did.
even a moment's notice.
That's right.
Everything shut down.
Yep.
And with home learning, they kept these students engaged. And really our students and our youngsters are really our future. And it's important that we support our schools. It's important that we say thank you to all of our teachers and everyone else that is part of our local school system, because without our schools, our students would not have that education and they would not get the learning that really makes them important and strong members of our community.
You know, really this community is made up of not just the nonprofits, but the ordinary citizens who step up and say, what can I personally do to help?
And CJ and Beth, I need to step away right now.
We'll be talking to you soon, though, I have a feeling.
You're helping in a different way now, aren't you?
Yes.
El Presidente Bolton.
And I will see you as
Okay.
part of this parade in a few minutes.
All right.
All right.
Thank you so
All right,
much
thank
for
you,
joining
David,
us
for
on
everything.
set.
Thank
This
you
has
both
been
so much.
another
Thank you.
historic first, having El Presidente on the set with us live here on your news channel for El Desfile Histórico.
This parade, was like a history lesson that we just
yes,
got for the last 45
minutes. Yes, I think we should play trivia with a little historic trivia with David Bolton another time. We have the Oxnard Band walking as well, joining in this year's celebration. They're coming down. But back to the school district that we were just talking about, which, of course, they're still busy. It's summertime, and we know that classes are out, but there's summer school, and then our administrators, teachers, being very busy as well within the Santa Barbara Unified School District, followed by now the News Channel float. I'm looking.
In a wagon. I think they're in a wagon.
Our crews and colleagues, CJ.
Yes, they're going around in circles. It's Annika, Scott, Karen, and Elise.
And this is representing from our dark and early in the morning shows to the late night shows and all of the news that we bring you on News Channel and our team. And I wish we could have every single member behind the scenes as well participating on this float, being in this float rather. We have so much support here with our camera system and our producers and all the folks who help make this happen and bring this to you live.
KUIT is everywhere today.
News Channel team is here everywhere today.
Yeah. We got to get Annika to sing. That would be something.
Oh, that would be fun. Okay. Santa Barbara South Coast Chamber of Commerce Carriage also honored to be riding in El Desfile Histórico, representing a long-standing tradition in this town.
And your Chamber of Commerce supports businesses on the South Coast with advocacy, networking, and promoting the community. Come say hi at one of your visitor centers and Viva la Fiesta.
And they do so much behind the scenes as well, and helping make sure that the economic growth is there for the businesses here in town, and helping, again, navigate different challenges that have come up over the years, including through the pandemic.
Yeah, they've been talking about challenges over the last few years. The Chamber of Commerce has done a fantastic job.
They really have, in helping with the outreach, with the Santa Barbara State Street Promenade, etc., on and on and on. Moving on now, Los Padres Outfitters.
And locally owned and operated, Los Padres Outfitters horseback riding adventure provides you with well-trained and well-cared-for horses and mules, as well as friendly, knowledgeable guides to make your horseback riding experience the highlight of your vacation to the Santa Barbara area.
That's such a fun thing to do, too, when you've got family, friends coming.
Backcountry.
Yes, it really is. I mean, hiking our hills is one thing, and doing it on horseback is a completely different experience, of course. And so it's just a really wonderful thrill for folks who have time to do that. Opera Santa Barbara, this float also participating. It is a premier professional producer of music theater on the Central Coast, and their float showcases characters from their 30th anniversary season, which is titled Histórico Española, and is inspired by the music, history, and culture of Spain.
And on the float we have Carmen, the bullfighter, Escamillo, Zorro, and Puss in Boots, El Gato con Botas, all of whom will appear in this season's operas, which kicks off at the Granada Theater in September, and they are joined by dancers from La Boheme Dance and Productions.
That's right, and we had a performance from Carmen that kicked off Pequeña. Wednesday night, we had the opera singer who joined everybody on stage from the audience there. It was very dramatic.
Very exciting,
beautiful.
Yes.
And more charros following up as well, coming up down the street. So again, as we talked about earlier, this is the second year that the parade has been up and down Cabrillo Boulevard.
Yeah, and this is just a fantastic location. Over the years we've had it up and down State Street in different locations, and this is kind of the heart of where everybody is. It's right across the street from Stearns Wharf. It's right at the beach, and David gave us a great explanation of why this is such a historic spot to have this parade. And then, again, you get that beautiful ocean breeze, and it just cools everything off.
It really does. And I love when we had the drone shots. I don't think I've ever seen the beach so empty. You could just see both sides of Cabrillo Boulevard lined with so many people. Stay with us. We'll take another quick break. Be right back.
Woke up again.
Old Spanish Days Fiesta would like to thank its 2023 broadcast sponsors: Pure Water Systems, Santa Barbara Airport, Santa Barbara Historical Museum, Santa Barbara South Coast Chamber of Commerce, Santa Ynez Band of Chumash Indians, Seaward Ranch, and Southern California Edison.
And we are coming to you live from Cabrillo Boulevard for the 99th annual celebration of the first Fiesta.
That's what
event.
it is, yes.
And this is El Desfile Histórico, one of the largest horse parades in the country.
And we are broadcasting live from State Street and Cabrillo in downtown Santa Barbara, right across the street from Stearns Wharf. And right now we have Rancho Jimenez J. It's a group of charros from the local Santa Barbara County area, including Santa Barbara, Santa Ynez, and Oxnard. The group leader, Aban Jimenez, is a proud local of Santa Barbara. They've been participants of Old Spanish Days Parade for many years now and are excited to be back.
And many of the members have participated in several other parades and won many awards. Their Andalusian horses have been trained both in the States and in Mexico. I want to listen in. El Presidente David Bolton, who had joined us for the majority of this beginning of El Desfile Histórico, on set with us for the first time. He really talked about the significance, the iconic significance of the charros and representation in
the
Mexico.
History and how it works in with what we're seeing here today. Beautiful story.
And the Shriners, Almec Lake Shriners, Santa Barbara Shrine Club, walking along here. Shriners rock. They do so much for our community.
And from the historical Shrine Auditorium in Los Angeles, led by their leader Scott Shaw, who was in charge of 9 units and more than 20 clubs, introducing the SB Shriner Club, which is the oldest shrine club in the region, established back in 1920 and taking part in this parade since 1926.
And the Shriners internal support a medical health system of more than 200 Shriners children's locations. They're dedicated to improving the lives of children, helping see more kids in more places, healing children throughout. These hospitals, medical centers, clinics have treated more than almost 1.5 million children globally with orthopedic problems, burns, and spinal cord injury. So it's incredible.
All right, so next we have the Santa Barbara Historical Museum Carriage. Santa Barbara Historical Museum Carriage is celebrating Fiesta history all year long. Their permanent installation, the Edward Bourne Gallery, is a tribute to one of the most significant artists in the West.
And it's really a treat to go through that carriage and to see those saddles, to see all of the leather goods, the things that they have used for decades. And it's really a gem here in Santa Barbara. If you've never been in person, strongly encourage you to go sometime, maybe when you've got family visiting. We also want to welcome the Lonesome Cowboys and Cowgirls Equestrian.
And here is the riding group known as the Lonesome Cowboys and Cowgirls. You kind of don't want to feel sorry for them. They're actually pretty good. This is their 29th year in the Fiesta Parade, and the women and men of this group are dedicated to preserving the heritage and history of the working cowboys and horses from the old ranches. In early Santa Barbara, cattle were pretty much the only economic enterprise, and the cowboy, or vaquero, was critical to the success of the rancho.
Viva los Lonesome Cowboys and Cowgirls, and they have participated in this event
for many years.
Decades. So it's always a real treat to have them here as well. You know, overall we have more than 500 horses participating, and I believe more than 70 entrants.
Yeah, which is really what makes it really one of the largest horse parades in not the U.S., but maybe even the Western U.S.
Santa Barbara Sheriff's Office mounted unit riders also participating once again this year, sworn law enforcement unit staffed by men and women throughout the Santa Barbara County Sheriff's Office.
And the unit provides law enforcement services throughout Santa Barbara County. You will often find these deputies patrolling county parks, open spaces, and special events. The unit also provides crowd control for large-scale events like this one throughout the county and the state.
And we know they are first responders working year-round and so appreciative of all that they do for our community up and down the Central South Coast.
And what's interesting is the mounted unit horses are owned by the deputies and must undergo rigorous training and testing standards to ensure that they're suited for the job of law enforcement on the mount.
And we have other members who've come from Kings County, come from Long Beach, come from other parts of California, and the same protocol holds true, where each of the members must, they're responsible for their own horses. And you know, I think it's just such a thrill for people of all ages to see these horses, CJ, up close in front. One year, I remember, after the parade, we were down along East Beach, and we could see horses actually being brought into the water. And I think that's a rare thing.
It is.
I'm not sure what the Fiesta protocol is for that, but you can imagine how hot it is for people on these beautiful summer days, and the horses as well. After, you know, I don't know the actual mileage of this route. Do you?
You're asking the wrong person. I do not know exactly what it is. If David Bolton was here, he would know for sure.
I should have gotten that information before, but you know, doing all of this walking, we've talked about the flower girls, Los Ninos De Las Flores, girls and boys spreading cheer at the very beginning. They help kick off the parade, and the horses, all the walking they do. So that was a neat sight. Now the next, we want to welcome the Mariachi Nueva Tecaletan Femenil Walking, and they have been present since Fiesta Pequeña Wednesday night.
Yeah, they put on a fantastic show from Guadalajara, Mexico. All these are considered one of the best female mariachi groups in the world. They have made the journey to Santa Barbara to be part of Fiesta 2023. And they're performing throughout the week here. We welcome them. They're fantastic.
They also performed at La Misa yesterday morning, and there was a really beautiful moment with Father Larry where one of the members was singing. There was one woman Wednesday night Fiesta beginning. I think she held a note for 8 minutes. I wish I had timed it. It was phenomenal and just stunning.
Was that the one where Father Larry hung in there for about 30 seconds?
That was the next morning.
That was pretty amazing that he even gave that a try.
Yes, he did. That was really a fun moment. Beautiful too. Let's listen. For some of the travelers, there were some delays with some visa issues. There were a couple little hiccups, but everything worked out
They're all together
very
now.
smoothly, and that's what's important. They were here, and we so welcome and appreciate them. Next
we have Tour Spain, Tour España. Officials from that organization include Director Javier Rodriguez Mañanas in the carriage with his lovely wife Petra and others. Spain is a beautiful country with strong cultural and historic ties to Santa Barbara. Please consider a visit there. You'll enjoy a rich experience of music, song, great food, and dance. And we saw that connection at Pequeña as well.
Of course, Old Spanish Days.
Old Spanish Days.
And again, this is the 99th annual celebration of the first day of Fiesta. Next, we'd like to welcome the Unity Shop Carriage, which does so much. Unity Shop has done so much for decades for our community. This was founded by the late Barbara Tellefson, and of course we know that this is something that your news channel team is actively involved with for the holiday telethon. Enrique, Samantha, Sebastian, Sandra Consuelo, Cars, also Lydia representing the Unity Shop today. It is a nonprofit organization serving low-income families, seniors, and children who fall into the low-income range. And Angela Miller-Bevan is the executive director, doing a fantastic job.
So next we have Santa Barbara Club. Historic Carriage. Members of the club continue the traditions of community. This is the oldest club in Santa Barbara and has strong ties to our rich equestrian past and present. The idea of incorporating Old Spanish Days was developed by a group of Santa Barbara club members back in 1924. There have been 9 club members who are past Presidentes, and this year's El Presidente will be number 10.
And really serves an iconic role both in the business and social circles here in town. El Presidente and El Premier Caballero. We want to give a huge welcome next to David Bolton, and accompanied by El Premier Caballero Gonzalo Sarmiento. They have been together for 20 years. They both enjoy, respect our community. And again, El Presidente, who joined us here on stage for the beginning of El Desfile Histórico, has a very long history, a very long knowledge of history, I might add, giving back to his community.
And we're going to talk to David here in a second. Now, I know he's riding in the carriage right now, but he's going to make his way over toward us And we're going to ask him a couple questions really quickly. Viva la Fiesta, David, you're back.
Viva la Fiesta! Talking about the experience in the parade. What is your experience this year?
Being in this parade is so outstanding. It's an honor to come down the street in this carriage and to see all the people, the smiles, and to see all of your hard work and what our marshals do. It's truly a memorable moment, one that myself and Primer Caballero Gonzalo Sarmiento, we won't forget.
And I want to ask you one more question. Tell us about the specific history of the carriage you're in.
This carriage is historic. It's the Orania family carriage. Orania married De La Guerra's other daughter, and the Orania family continues today with the Ricards. 2 Presidentes were Ricards, and they rode in this carriage the last time. It's been recently refurbished. It's the first time. It's truly an honor for us to be in this historic carriage with such a representation of the Oranias, the De La Guerras, and the Ricards in the history of Santa Barbara.
Well, you look so handsome, the two of you. One more thing I want to ask you, gently pull your mic away, show us the medal that you are wearing. The
Thank you so
beautiful
much.
medal. And this is the Commander's Medal, the Royal Order of Isabel the Catholic, when you were knighted in April of 2019. Thank you, Presidente.
Thank you, David.
That's a very special medal that he is wearing.
We're making him earn his presidency today.
We might be
with
making
airtime.
we might be making him blush a little bit if that's possible. I'm not sure, but that medal is really, really
It's always
impressive.
great to see David.
Rancho Justiciero in Oakview, California, formed by Reynaldo and his wife Isabel Peña. And from generation to generation, this group of family and friends been in El Desfile Histórico for the past 15 years or so. We are very excited to continue the tradition this year and having them join us. A huge welcome to Rancho El Justiciero.
It's always fun to talk to a Presidente while he's in a carriage in the middle of a parade. He's so well spoken, and he looks good. By the way, if anybody's wondering, sometimes in the last couple of years my outfit has looked really good during Pequeña.
You have to thank
It's because of David Bolton.
You can say that.
It's David
true.
Bolton. He gives me some of the best clothes for Pequeña. I just have to give David a shout out for that.
I won't talk about what else is in the closet, but we'll leave it at that. Very grateful. And you know, one of the things that David had really talked about wanting to do was incorporating so much of the history of this event, Old Spanish Days in Santa Barbara, and also inclusivity. But going back to the historic part, the ship that came into the harbor earlier today, CJ.
Yeah, I mean, it caught a lot of people off guard as it sailed kind of around the point coming into Santa Barbara Harbor. A lot of folks didn't know this was going to happen. It came in with the sails, and everybody stopped and pulled out their cameras to take pictures of it as it came into Santa Barbara, and you can see there it's now anchored. And
this is the San Salvador, and it's based in San Diego at the Maritime Museum down there near the port of San Diego, and it's just really a dramatic, beautiful ship.
And
in
they
our
represent the first arrival back in, what, 1542, if I'm getting the year right, but I could be wrong about that. But yeah, it's supposed to represent the first arrival here in Santa Barbara. The Shumash greeted them, and yeah, very exciting.
It was really neat to see the reactions from people who were walking up and down trying to get their seats out, and they looked up at the water and thought, oh my goodness, what is that?
What is that?
You don't see a ship like that with the sails up coming into harbor probably ever in your lifetime, so just a fantastic addition to this year's El Desfile Histórico. And again, we also talked about another first this year. We have many firsts that are historic. We had the first male spirit of Fiesta, Jack Harwood,
yeah, what a
who
performance.
is a phenomenal flamenco dancer. Also the first De La Playa Mercado.
Yeah, and you remember years ago when they did have one down there. I mean, this is kind of they're bringing it back, if you will, to having a Mercado down at the beach. But if you haven't had a chance to go down there, it really is a gorgeous setting.
It's beautiful, and we've got an incredible sea breeze. I think really cooling people down today, so a fun place to go. Enjoy the foods there. Los Tequileros de Jalisco Charros next.
This is their 8th appearance in our Old Spanish Days Parade. Let's give them a huge hand. Organized by Alfredo and Sesco. These charros have been riding together for more than 10 years and come from all over Santa Barbara County. They all share a common bond with their connections to the state of Jalisco in Mexico. Los Taquileros enjoy gathering for rodeos, horseback rides, and parades, and we welcome them to Fiesta.
Again, Charros.
2023. I was trying to think of the year. That's what
You're losing track already. You need to have some sort of something wonderful from the mercados. But Charros, as we've talked about, the iconic representation of Mexico and a huge part of today's parade. And again, we're loving this venue. Normally, as we know, over the decades, we've had the El Desfile Histórico going up and down State Street. And of course, because we've got the promenade, for the second year, this year, it is along Cabrillo Boulevard.
You know, the other thing that's exciting, too, when you're sitting here on State Street, are hearing different languages.
Yes, that's
give you a sense of how many people have come into town, whether they knew Fiesta was going on or not. You know they love it, but it just gives you a sense of how many people come in from all over the world to Santa Barbara this time of year.
And I think they quickly found out when they tried to get a hotel room.
Yeah, that's right.
What's going on?
Let's listen in. It's always great to hear the music as they pass by us.
I'm getting some more information from Carrie Lane, one of our production assistants.
Is this the critical answer to the question, the burning question that we had?
Everybody's going to be wanting to know. The full parade route is 3 miles. So from the Carriage Museum, Pershing Park, all the way down to Milpa Street is 1.5 miles, and then they make the other 1.5 mile trek back. So a beautiful 3-mile stretch of waterfront along Santa Barbara. And the footwork, the fancy footwork of the horses is always incredible.
And you know, when they used to go up State Street, they'd have to go uphill at one point.
Right,
You'd hear people say, oh my gosh, that last quarter mile was pretty tough.
Do you remember several years there was a man who rode a bull? Do you remember that?
Huge Bronco bull, yes.
Huge Bronco bull. And
I do remember that.
We haven't had that gentleman with us for, it's been several years now, but I kind of worried about the bull making
he was sweating
uphill.
By the time he got to us.
I think he's in pasture now, which is a good thing. More fancy footwork by the Charros behind us. Next, I want to welcome the Garcia Floats. Garcia Dance Studio under the direction of Laura Garcia, our Old Spanish Days 1986 Spirit of Fiesta.
And this year is a very special year as they celebrate their 25th anniversary of performing every year at Fiesta, other festivals and events, and in Disneyland parades. The studio currently has more than 200 dancers and has won many awards, including Most Spirited in this parade and first place in the Santa Maria Elks Rodeo Parade.
And of course, they also participated for opening night at La Pequeña. Yep. Fiesta runs deep in the Garcia family, having participated in Fiesta for decades. Of course, including El Desfile Histórico Parade annually and as a dance family. On the float is Laura's daughter, Marisa Unzue, the 2003 Junior Spirit of Fiesta.
And you can always tell because it's the one float that's rocking more than any other float. I mean, Garcia dance, yeah, you see the Garcia float.
And this year is
dancing and rocking away, led by a Jeep.
This year is Laura's 6-year-old granddaughter Camila is also participating. So the family truly embodying Todos Juntos en Familia, our Fiesta theme this year.
Viva la Fiesta!
And it's decked out beautifully, isn't it?
It is.
They had to put extra shocks on the float, is my understanding.
All right, so next we have Grupo Charro Los Compadres, Rosendo Valencia and his Grupo Charros Los Compadres are here once again to enjoy the beautiful Santa Barbara Fiesta Parade of 2023 while riding their dancing horses to mariachi music.
Viva Los Compadres! Viva la Fiesta! Beautiful!
Viva la Fiesta!
And we have more charros following up. Grupo Charro Los Compadres Charros still here behind us, making their way.
And you can see the water spraying up there, so you know the fire department's getting close.
And that's always so refreshing, right? For the
It
kids,
is,
and
yeah, especially when they hit you with the spray.
Yes. You might put your iPhones away for this one, though. The paddy wagon, the old jail wagon, two local hooligans with a history of parade day disruption.
And past El Presidente's Peter Georgi, 1990, and Clay Dickens, 2004.
Actually, we're going to wait. I think they're behind.
Oh, are they behind it?
I think
Oh,
it might
okay.
be a little out of order, maybe. Santa Barbara County firefighters.
Yeah, here they come. Thought I saw the spray.
So we're looking at the steamer wagon, the historic steamer wagon, which is a huge hit. And oh, look at our production crew bringing out her umbrella.
I know we're
So
going
she
to get hit with
doesn't
something.
get hit.
Yeah, something's going to
It smells
happen.
like rain all of a sudden.
And we owe these firefighters so much for all the work they do year in and year out.
And he's got, look at this. Okay.
No, they're preparing for something.
There's a little, talk about shenanigans behind the scenes, right?
Yeah.
And they've got buckets full of, it's great when you can catch them.
I think we can listen in and see what they're trying to cook up.
We're trying to spill the secret for you guys. It's either a bucket full of water or a bucket full of confetti.
Sadly, it's great to see the firefighters, but it always means it's close to the end of the parade. That's the sad part
That's a
about
really
it.
good point, CJ. And you know, they do the thing where they ride in the spokes, right, in the wheels.
There's the
And
paddy
here's
wagon.
the paddy wagon.
Oh, boy.
All right, these are the hooligans in trouble. Past El Presidente's Pete George in 1990 and Clay Dickens, 2004. It is very much hope that their incarceration will put a stop to their troublemaking.
I doubt it. We'll probably see them there next year.
Escorting these two midfits ashore.
I think they're letting them out early.
Ontiveros.
They've been paroled.
Oh, no. Oh, my. Uh-oh, and they're coming right for us.
Oh, wait a minute. Oh, no.
Oh, soaking wet.
Put them away again. They violated parole.
Oh, that felt good. Wasn't that nice?
Yes.
I like that. It wasn't quite the big steam, but that sure felt good.
But Clay looked like he was having too much fun.
He
hitting
was
us with
having
that
too much.
water.
He
That's the problem.
had that look in his eye.
Yeah, he did.
Yeah, I know. I'll have a word with him later and thank him profusely. And again, Santa Barbara County firefighters proudly serving the community since 1926. There they go with the buckets of confetti. Santa Barbara Firefighters Local 2046 holds fundraisers in order to donate money to nonprofits and other community needs.
Crank that siren for almost 3 miles and see how your arm feels.
That's right. And they're pulling that hose cart, which was the actual fire engine. Did you know that, CJ? Back in the late 1800s.
The old one, yeah.
Yep.
Well, it looks like it's been restored, but yes.
And used across the country, coast to coast.
Yeah.
Times have changed.
There goes the water. There it goes.
Oh, there's a big stream. People loving it. And there's just a perfect breeze just to carry that spray across Cabrillo Boulevard. Boy, what a beautiful, iconic day for the 2023 El Desfile Historical. Couldn't ask for a better one.
We've had a lot of fun out here today. We hope you enjoyed the broadcast as well.
We've got some following up here. I think now the folks are able to go into the streets. They can cross over into the beach if they want, take a nice walk.
Well, this right here shows how talented the firefighters are. So we've already seen the ones that have come by spraying the hose, the ones blowing the siren.
Now these
guys
are the ones
ride them. Yeah,
this
they
is what I
ride
was
the wheel.
waiting for. I knew they were coming.
Yeah, this is fun. There you go. That's a talent right there.
I just hope they take a little Dramamine before they do the spin, right?
So what they do is they spin, then they stand up and see how they can stand up straight. That's the big test. Oh, we got one that fell. Oh, yep, there he goes. Oh,
man. Imagine how that would feel. I don't want to share which colleague of mine, but he said he doesn't like the spinny rides. He wouldn't do well on that.
Well, it's one thing to go spin sideways, another thing to go upside, head to toe, head to toe, head to toe.
Viva la fiesta! All right, and another El Desfile Histórico in the history books for Santa Barbara.
We hope you enjoyed this today. We enjoyed bringing it to you on this gorgeous day down here at the beach in downtown Santa Barbara.
Viva la fiesta, everybody.
Viva la fiesta, everybody.